Hey there again, and welcome to Taming the Perilous Skies, 100 days until launch. Today is day, how's this possible, 85? Wow, this is going pretty quick. And so this week, we kicked off with Nancy Kress. Yay! And it's all about craft. Like, when is good enough good enough? Is your work good enough? And so we're going to progress through a variety of things on craft. Like, do you feel like you have it tighten enough, because it's all about debut authors, and so I'm bringing you my perspective as a debut author, which means take it with a big giant grain of salt. But we're going to progress through a number of things with regard to craft, the way I think about it, the few things I've learned, and you probably learned more than I have. And so today I'd like to start with the big kahuna, POV. I'll share a little something with you. When I went to Futurescapes, and thanks to Luke and the team there at Futurescapes for making all that possible. That was my very first workshop. And I was there and listening in, and people were using the acronym POV, and I raised my hand. I'm like, yeah, you all seem like you know what this acronym means. I don't. What's POV stand for? Yeah, I asked that. And in the end, and if you just do the workshop thing, or you're coming in later in life, you haven't done the MFA thing or whatever, it took me a long time to realize how, like, everything POV is. Like, that's all it is, right? I mean, that's the reader's experience, is experiencing it through, if you're in fiction, you're experiencing through the eyes of characters. And, one of the best things I ever saw on POV was Dan Brown's masterclass on POV. I just thought it was great. He said POV, you get a lot of insights. But one of the things he said, define your villain first, because their POV is really going to be one of your toughest things. And what does he do with the villain POV? But gives you moral gray area. He gives you the background as to why they're doing the terrible thing they're doing, like how they came to be. And you're like, oh, well, yeah, I kind of understand that moral gray area. It's really powerful for a villain. It'll be interesting in Taming the Perilous Skies, readers, who you think the villain really is. I will say that I added a POV scene entirely because of some backstory on the one that you might think is the villain. But I do not believe that is actually the villain. And so let's talk about POV. So what do you do with POV? Well, there's different POVs, right? I mean, there's first, and that's very intimate. It's maybe more biased, so it's good for unreliable narrator, and it kind of has its own diction, and that kind of thing. Third person close is what I like to use most. It's just kind of what I'm used to reading, and it's the easiest for me. Omniscient, I've never understood. I don't know how people write an omniscient POV. I'll have to try it. I'll have to do an exercise. I'll have to try it. But third close is what I like to use. And I do that because I like to reveal things. I like to have the perspective of the character, but I'm a little afraid of the first because it has to be really intimate and close. So I chose to do Jack's POV as first, because I needed to be closer to him. I needed to be more inside his head, more intimate. Nancy Kress, when she reviewed my work, said, do not change POVs. Like, why are you changing POVs? Because I want to be closer to Jack. Well, then write better. I know, but okay. Anyway, I kept Jack's first POV. And so let's talk about a little bit about some other things on POV. And so one of the things I think you have to do, and I'm not great at this. POV is I'm not a master. POV, it's keeping the reader in mind the whole time, right? It's like that reader has to have enough attachment to that character. They're seeing it through their eyes. They're feeling it the way they feel it, but it still has to be relatable, right? I mean, you can't have a villain who gives no backstory, no moral gray area, and just does these terrible things, and I'm okay by doing these things. It's like, no, that's not relatable, right? I mean, always have to tie it back. And then the way that I go with different POVs and reveal different things and do it in a non-linear way is because I love the reveal, right? I love that process of real, like, what? Do it through the characters that make sense. And sometimes you have to change who your POV is. I had to change a major POV. I was going to do my pathetic old man fight between Brian Medlock and Zhang Wang as Medlock's POV, and I'm like, you can't do that. He thinks he's just right about this bullshit. You got to do it, that kind of scene. You have to do it through somebody independent, through somebody who can say, oh my God, how horrible is this, right? So I did that I changed that to the president's POV. And so what are a few things to keep in mind, I think, about POV that I think is kind of interesting? A lot of people say that the POV of a story or of a scene has to be the person with the most to lose, right? Or the most to learn. I think that's probably right because that gives you the most tension. But it may not be the most interesting, right? Sometimes you want something to be looked at objectively. And so my example of the president in the pathetic old man fight scene. And so the most to learn, the most to lose, maybe. I mean, you kind of have to, I don't know, you can play with that. The close distance. And so how close are you? If you could swap this chapter to somebody else's POV just as easily, it would have read just as well, it doesn't matter, then is your POV in that character strong enough? Is it unique enough? Is it distinctive enough? It has to be really distinctive, right? So the other thing is head hopping. If you're so omniscient, this is what I can't do. If you're doing omniscient, then head hopping becomes a problem, right? You've probably heard about this. And so you have to keep that narrative voice while still being in their head. You have to keep that, almost, well, omniscient, right? Narrative voice, which I don't know how to do that. And so those are the things I think of when it comes to POV. I'm third close plus dose of first when I need to kind of get around the fact that I haven't written as good a character as I should have. I'm sorry, Jack. I did improve it over time. And so that's POV. And I'm trying to do these check-ins in like 1 or 2 minutes, and this one's 7 minutes. So what do you do? Anyway, till next time, this is Taming the Perilous Skies, 100 Days Until Launch. Oh, what did I do on the book today? I worked on Spoken most of the day today. I continue to listen to my chapters, and I'm finding typos because I'm listening to it on Spoken, and I'm hearing the typos. Oh, God. I mean, how could I have the word paints instead of pants in chapter 42, is it? This whole time, paints, not pants. Damn it. Well, I found it. Okay. Anyway, listening. Listening is a new reading. And so I'm listening to the chapters just to do a final little edit because I still have some time because I've got 85 days to launch. Okay, see you on 84. Bye.